All right, so welcome back, everyone. Today we're going deep, really deep, into this Oval Office meeting.
Oh, yeah, this one is going to be good.
Back in 2025 with President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Yeah, just your casual Oval Office meeting.
Right, like high-stakes, international implications kind of meeting.
Yes, exactly.
We've got some amazing sources for this one.
I was really excited about this one.
Okay, so first of all, we've got the CNN report.
Okay.
And it reads like, honestly, a political thriller, you know?
Hmm?
But we've also got, straight from the source himself, some Truth Social posts from President Trump.
Oh, wow.
And to round it all out, we've got reactions from some key players.
Okay, like who?
Senators Graham and Reid both weighing in.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we've got like a lot of perspectives to unpack here.
So, like, where do we even begin with this?
Okay, so I think let's just jump right in with that CNN report.
Okay, that was good.
All right, so they're describing this meeting as practically a shouting match.
Whoa.
Like really intense.
A shouting match in the Oval Office.
Yeah, where President Trump basically berated President Zelensky and then ultimately had him kicked out of the Oval Office.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, that's pretty unheard of, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, usually diplomacy has...
Yeah, there's like a decorum.
There's certain decorum, like a...
Respectfulness.
Even when there's disagreement.
Yeah, like you don't just kick someone out of the Oval Office.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially not, I mean, the Ukrainian president at the time.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
Okay, so then, and CNN really focuses on this, Trump's anger at Zelensky is like specifically because he thinks Zelensky wasn't grateful enough for U.S. support.
Interesting.
Like, that's like a major theme in this whole thing.
Okay.
And there's even this quote where Vance asks Zelensky,
Okay.
have you said thank you once?
Wow.
It's almost like petty, you know?
It is petty, yeah.
What do you think is like the real story there?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good question. So to understand that, we kind of need to take a step back. Okay. And look at like the bigger picture, like historically what's been going on.
Right.
So this isn't Trump's first, incident with Ukraine, right?
Right.
We have the impeachment. There's also his affinity for Putin.
Yeah.
And of course, there's always that tension with Russia in the background.
It's always there.
Always there.
Yeah.
So it feels like this outburst is probably fueled by all of that.
Years of, just everything.
Yeah, frustration. Years of political maneuvering. And, I mean, this is probably stemming from some, deeply held beliefs about the U.S.'s role in that region.
Oh, totally, yeah. And it's interesting because there's this one detail in the CNN piece that I really like.
Okay.
They talk about, like, all this untouched food.
Oh, okay.
So they're describing plates of salad, roasted chicken, even creme brulee.
Wow.
Just sitting there, like, untouched.
Oh, my goodness.
And to me, that's just such a powerful visual, right?
Right, yeah.
Of, like, how quickly things went downhill.
Yeah, like how tense it was in there.
Yeah, it was clearly, like, meticulously planned, this diplomatic event. And then it just, like, completely fell apart.
It just went south, yeah.
Like, basic courtesy is just abandoned.
Yeah, and, I mean, it's really symbolic, right?
So
like a breakdown of communication.
Yeah.
And just, like, an abrupt ending.
Speaking of endings,
So, yeah.
things go from, like, bad to worse very quickly.
Okay.
So the planned press conference canceled.
Wow.
An agreement. It was about rare earth minerals.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
It was supposed to be signed, never happened.
Really?
And then...
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. And then Trump goes on Truth Social.
Oh, he always does.
And announces that Zelensky's banned from the White House
Right.
until he's ready for peace, quote unquote.
Wow.
So, I mean, like, who has the power here?
That is, yeah, what's the power dynamic?
Right. Like, who's calling the shots?
So, I mean, it's a really complicated question.
Yeah.
On the one hand, Ukraine desperately needs that U.S. support.
Especially with what's going on with Russia.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then on the other hand, you have Trump trying to control Zelensky,
Trying to exert some control.
but also distance himself from the conflict at the same time.
It's like he wants to have his cake and eat it too.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like this weird, like, push and pull.
It really makes you think, like, who needs who more?
Yeah.
And what are they willing to give up, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
To get what they want.
Yeah, and that's where the reactions from Senator Graham and Senator Reid get really interesting.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
It's like they're watching two completely different things happen.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Yeah, so it really highlights how domestic politics, you know,
Oh, yeah.
can get all tangled up with foreign policy. But, like,
Absolutely,
it's a
right.
good reminder to think about,
Yeah.
like, everyone's biases.
Yeah, like everyone has an agenda.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so Graham, who's a staunch Republican,
Yeah.
right, he basically calls for Zelensky to resign,
Oh, wow.
saying he's, like, disrespectful,
Oh, my
impossible to work with.
Hellly.
Meanwhile, Reid, a Democrat,
Okay.
condemns Trump and Vance,
Uh-huh.
calls their actions a shameful failure of American leadership.
So, like, polar opposite.
Completely opposite. How
Yeah.
do we even, like, make sense of that?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to remember who they're speaking to.
Oh,
You know, politicians often speak to their own constituencies.
right. Yeah.
So Graham's statement, it aligns with, there's a faction
Uh-huh.
in the Republican Party that's been skeptical of the U.S. involvement in Ukraine for a while.
Right.
Reid, on the other hand, is reflecting the viewpoint of many Democrats
Right.
who see supporting Ukraine as, like, vital
Yeah.
to containing Russia.
Okay, so we've got this explosive meeting back
Yeah.
and forth on social media, and these, like, polar opposite reactions.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
What does this all mean for, like, the big picture?
Yeah, good question.
Like U.S. foreign policy?
Well, I think this incident raises some serious concerns about trust
Oh, okay.
on the international stage.
All right.
Like, think about it.
Yeah.
This very public display of discord
Yeah.
likely damaged relations with Ukraine
Oh, for sure.
and probably signaled to other allies
Oh, yeah.
that the U.S. might not be,
A reliable partner.
a reliable partner. Exactly.
So it's not just about Trump and Zelensky.
Yeah, it's bigger than that.
This has, like, ripple effects.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it could also embolden adversaries.
Oh, interesting.
So when the U.S. appears divided
Mm-hmm.
and unpredictable,
Yeah.
it creates an opportunity
Uh-huh.
for countries like Russia
Right.
to take advantage,
So if the U.S. is distracted,
Exactly.
they can, like,
advance their own interests.
push their agenda. It's almost like that saying, when elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the grass, in this case, might
It's the
be...
Ukrainian people
Yeah.
caught in the middle.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
And then, of course, there's also, like, the potential for just, like, miscalculation.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Right.
Yeah.
With this level of animosity, like the
Mhm.
risk of misunderstanding, misinterpreting,
Could just get so high.
Yeah, it increases dramatically.
Yeah, and that can lead to things.
Oh, yeah, like no one intends.
Escalation, things getting out of control.
And, potentially devastating consequences.
Yeah, it's scary to think about.
Okay, so back to that original question.
Okay.
What does this all mean for the future of U.S.-Ukraine relations?
Right.
Is there any hope?
After all this,
Yeah, like, can they come back from this?
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
yeah.
I mean, this meeting clearly, it exposed some deep cracks. And the impact, we'll probably feel it for years to come.
Yeah.
It's possible things could improve,
Yeah.
with a change in leadership, or maybe
Yeah.
if they both really prioritize rebuilding trust.
Right.
But those scars run deep.
It makes you wonder, like, can any relationship really recover from such a public
And dramatic.
and dramatic breakdown?
Yeah, especially with all the baggage, like all the geopolitical baggage,
Yeah, yeah.
military aid, the fate of millions of people.
That's a lot.
It is. It's a heavy load.
We started with what seemed like a single meeting.
Right.
And we've ended up uncovering,
His whole web.
yeah, political maneuvering,
Personal grudges.
international implications.
It's amazing how one event,
Can just unravel so much.
yeah, it really shows you how connected everything is.
Yeah.
It's amazing how one event,
Can just unravel so much.
yeah, it really shows you how connected everything is.
Yeah.
Like, that's the power of a deep dive, right?
Sincerely.
You start with this one thing,
Yeah.
and then you end up, going down all these rabbit holes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like suddenly
A whole...
a whole network of ideas and events.
Yeah, and those explorations often leave us with
More questions than answers.
more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our final thought for you.
Okay, I like it.
So this meeting,
Yeah.
it took place in 2025.
Right.
How did this whole, like, clash of personalities,
Yeah.
this diplomatic debacle,
Yeah.
how did this shape the relationship between the U.S. and Ukraine
In the years that follow.
in the years that followed? Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question.
Did it become a turning point?
Yeah.
Did it, like, accelerate a decline in relations?
Or like force both sides to reevaluate?
Yeah. Did it embolden Russia?
Did it push Ukraine closer to other allies?
Oh, interesting.
So many questions.
I know. It's like we're getting started.
Historians will be looking at this for years.
For years to come.
Trying to figure it all out.
It really shows you how even just these like isolated events.
Seemingly isolated.
Yeah.
Can have far-reaching consequences.
Yeah. It's like history is not just a collection of dates and names.
It's not just memorizing facts.
Right.
It's a chain reaction.
It's a chain reaction, yeah.
Every action has a reaction.
Totally.
And it all kind of builds on itself.
That's why it's so important to understand the context, the motivations, the personalities involved.
It's not just what happened.
It's the why.
The why, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And what it tells us about the bigger picture.
Right. Okay, so to all you history buffs out there, we encourage you to keep digging.
Yeah, do some research.
Maybe research the aftermath of this meeting or,
explore the dynamics between the U.S. and Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, see where those threads lead.
Yeah, like how did this event ripple outwards?
Trace the impact.
Exactly.
See what you can find.
Because sometimes the most fascinating stories are the ones that unfold,
long after the headlines.
Yeah. After the headlines fade away, yeah.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
It's been a good one.
Into a truly complex
and fascinating
moment in history.
It really has been.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
And keep learning.
We'll see you next time.